high-level executive at AT&T, Robert Greenleaf, think of leaf on a tree. Robert Greenleaf wrote a really foundational book that's used to this day called Servant Leadership. It's a fine piece of work. And I'm always intrigued with this book when I go back to it because I recognize how much spirituality is shot through his ideas. And it really is related well to Christianity, and particularly to today's gospel about leadership. I know very often people miss some of the clues that are given in the gospel. So today, for example, Matthew tells us they were in the region of Caesarea Philippi. Now, where that is in far northern Israel today, near Israel, Lebanon, Syria, where those borders come together. And there, in that area are the springs that lead to the Jordan River. And as you walk to this spot, you're walking through a kind of open area, and it gets more of a little canyon over time, with lots of trees and rushing water all over the place. It's really rather idyllic and rather pretty. And suddenly you come to an open area where there is a massive, huge rock. This is why Matthew tells you this happened there. Think of something basically 150 feet high by at least 1,000 feet long. It's huge. And in that area, at the time of Jesus, the pagans had a bunch of little temples, all related to fertility cults. And we don't need to go into detail about that, but they also had sacred goats, okay? Now imagine how insulting this was to the people of Israel to have that stuff going on at the sources of the Jordan. But it's at the base of this massive, massive rock where this event happened. Think of all the rushing water in the trees and that huge rock. And Jesus tells Peter something really extraordinary. First of all, he changes his name. Every time that happens in the Bible, you better pay attention. Abram, Abraham, Sarai, Sarah, Saul, Paul. When a name is changed, it's big stuff. So this is big stuff. This is not a throwaway story. This is very important. And Jesus tells him, you are rock. Now, I've heard many people explain this by saying, well, it really means his faith was rock. Well, read it. Jesus doesn't say, gee, Peter, there's a quality about you that's rock. Those aren't his words. He says, you rock. Aramaic didn't have the verb to be, so he literally said, you rock. He's really clear. He didn't say, there's something about you, rock. You rock. You are amazing. And it's astonishing that the Lord uses that expression, rock, because virtually every time that it's in the Old Testament, it refers to what? God. Wow. Pay attention. This is big. This is one of the central points in Matthew's Gospel, that the Lord recognizes in Peter that he's rock for this community, this assembly, this synagogue, if you will, this ecclesia we would have in Greek, from which we get the English word church. It's on rock that this church will be built. And to make it clear, Jesus changes Peter's name. He changed it from Simon, that was his name, to rock, Kepha in Aramaic, Petros in Greek, Peter in English. It's like Rocky, okay? You're not Simon anymore, you're Rocky. There's something amazing about Peter. What does Jesus see in him? I think he sees this leadership potential that Peter is getting at. First of all, Peter is the one who speaks up when Jesus says, who do you say that I am? You can hear the birds chirping, the crickets. Nobody answered until Simon opened his mouth and got it right. You are the anointed one, the Son of God. There's leadership quality in this man. And it's a particular kind of leadership. I think in modern terms, I would say it's the kind of leadership Robert Greenleaf wrote about, servant leadership. He describes it in his book in many ways, but one of the chief ways is this. A servant leader is one who can help others, under his or her direction, reach their fullest potential. It doesn't mean everybody does, but it means that's available. And that leader, him or her, helps those people get there. There are other things too, but focus on that. And see the kind of leadership that Jesus exercised in his growing assembly. He was a master at servant leadership. It's like he should have written the book on it. Robert Greenleaf did it later, but hey, okay? It's a beautiful thing. There is leadership that is coercive, and history is full of examples of that, where people who came to power and forced others to do their will. That's a different kind of leadership. No, servant leadership is helping and providing for and directing so that people reach their potential. So we have to do that, let's say here at the Casa. I have to do it all the time. What is the potential in the future of this community? The potential in the future is not, don't change anything. I hear that voice. Every voice I hear is not of equal value, I'm sorry. Jesus got some voices that weren't worth listening to also. You have to be able to discern the ones that are worth listening to from the ones that are not. Don't you get that in life too? There are a lot of voices telling you how to do things. I can tell you here we've got plenty of people who will come and say, you people should do this and da-da-da-da-da because of this and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, and they want you to be grateful that they told you, you know. You know what I'm talking about. You get it too. But the servant leader is helping one reach the potential. A lot of you have done that with your children. Isn't it wonderful when your kids begin choosing things that are good, and you didn't have to tell them, and you didn't have to make them do it, but they chose it? Think, wow, something happened here. Yes, I did something right. Oh my gosh. Or as a teacher, or as a kid yourself. Maybe you see another kid being hard on another kid, and you help them learn there's a different way, without saying, if you don't stop that, I'm going to pound your face into the floor. That's the coercive leadership. What's the servant leadership? Decide and act accordingly. Jesus did it all the time. St. Peter seems to be learning it. And Peter's gift, then, to be rock for the church continues in history, of course. It doesn't make any sense for the Lord to set it up as the cornerstone, the foundation, if you will, and then say, oh, but when you die, it'll just go away. It's goofy. So that his role continues in the Pope. I was reading a book when I came back from Italy that I had bought over there on Pope Francis. It's called Pope Francis Untying the Knots. I know Sandy's working on getting it, so go ask her. But this book traces his development when he was Father George, Father Jorge, there in Argentina. And he was the Jesuit provincial. He was really tough on his guys. He was really authoritarian. And he says so himself. I'm not making it up. The Pope admits it. And he says, I made a lot of mistakes and I committed a lot of sins. Isn't that refreshing? He doesn't say he was perfect. He said, you know, I screwed up, but I was learning. And I learned a lot of things. And this book traces you through some of those things that he learned. He learned to become a servant leader instead of a coercive leader. And there are people that don't like him. He's got voices telling him what he's doing wrong, believe me. I read in the book, I'm not making this up, they traced a blog called Rorate Caeli, okay? So I thought, well, this will be interesting, so I got it on the computer. Oh boy, okay. Here's a list of things the Pope is doing wrong according to this group. Get ready. Remember, I'm not making these up, okay? He did not make the deacon kneel before him before he proclaimed the gospel. He did not wear his mitre one day when he was preaching. He is not wearing white socks and red shoes. It goes on like this, okay? what do these people do all day? And it builds to this thundering crescendo. The most horrible thing is he did not wear the cufflinks. I mean, come on. You see what I mean about voices? You have to discern what's worth listening to and what isn't. I can't imagine. I can't imagine his job. But think about it. How do you say stuff isn't worth listening to? Well, what leads us to the future? What spreads the gospel? What builds the community? What makes us greater than we are today? Where can we go that maybe some of us are afraid of, but we could go there? Those are things you listen to. And that's where you grow and you develop, and a new community comes out of this, and it's greater than the one before. And it's built on rock, you see. Discern the voices. You have to do this in your life. There are plenty of voices out there telling you how to live your moral life, your ethical life, your family life. Discern. Which are the ones that help you grow into a gospel message? And which are the ones that you better not listen to? You need to do it. And then you become a rock for someone. Maybe for friends or family or co-workers. You become a rock. That's the call of the gospel today. It's to remember who Peter is, yes. And who Paul was, yes. But it's also to apply it to you. Become that rock with God's grace. And discern the voices.